Hi friends, welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and it is Fixed Blade Friday, and we've got a pair of Sanrenmu fixed blade knives to share with you today. Now this one is the S725P, and I ordered both of these knives near the end of November, and I realized after I'd ordered it, wait a minute, I did a review of the S725, which is the big brother of the S625. Way back a year and a half ago. But no, the S725P is slightly different. So I'm going to review it together with this knife. The difference is this has got a better steel than the 725. So the 725P is an improved version. And the S738, this is the S738-1. There are 4 variants, different colors. There's 2 black wash versions and 2 stone wash versions, different handle colors. But this is the one that they have at GearBest, and GearBest is the best price for both of these knives. And I got mine from GearBest. Links are down below. Other stores, very few other stores have either of these knives, and they cost more. So check the list down below for links for where you can buy these. Now the S738, this one's 8CR13 MOV steel, so this one costs less than the 725P, and it's slightly smaller as well. And both of them are, good size outdoor knives, camp prep knives maybe. This one might have a little bit more of a wider range of purposes because the tip is such that it could be used for piercing if you need to, whereas this guy, probably not so much. But what we're going to do is we're going to put these on the tabletop, take a good close look at these knives, and I'm going to review them just for you. So stick around, watch this video, because it's coming to you right now. There's actually several differences to these knives, not just the steel type, but you can see the sheaths are different as well. So we'll first talk a little bit about the more budget one, and then we'll talk about the little bit higher end one next. These are both budget knives. The prices are, just under 50 US, and this one is, just under 35 US. So that's the rough prices. I'll give more details later on. So this guy, first let's talk about the sheath. We've got ABS plastic and then a very low grade leather. So there's a very thin layer of leather on here and the rest is man-made materials. You've got a snap that holds it together. The ABS part works pretty well too. I'll fold this back. So click, decent retention, a little bit of a noise there, but it holds on quite well. These holes are far enough apart to be standard so that you could put this type of locking system on it. But these holes don't line up. You can't fit both of them in, just one of them or one set across. So fairly low end sheath to go with a lower end handle. We've got knife. We've got G10 8CR13 MOV steel, which is a decent budget Chinese steel. I really don't mind 8CR13 MOV at all. It's a good steel. If you get it at a good price, there's no reason to say to balk at it. Rockwell hardness of around 58, which is right up there with premium knives. Premium knives, get closer to 60 or above 60, but 58 is nothing to balk at. We've got, a decent thickness to the blade here, a high saber grind, and the handle is a full-size handle. My hands are between large and extra large in North American sizes, between 10 and 11 in European men's glove sizes. So you can tell something about comparing your size of hand to what mine is. It's made quite well. Different grips are quite comfortable. Even a reverse pull grip is comfortable. You can do a pinch grip up here. What do I think this style of knife is for? This is probably a good camp food prep knife, kitchen kind of knife, the campsite kind of knife. Because it's got such a big belly here, it's not a self-defense knife. It's not a, well, it might be okay for, doing some light skinning, but basically it's a food prep kind of knife. One little thing that I don't particularly like about this is that the heel of the knife here comes down further than the cutting edge. I've got some plastic here. Hopefully this will work to show you. If you've got a flat surface, you put the knife down on the flat surface. If you're trying to cut something like on a tabletop, the heel will touch before the cutting edge touches. So the cutting edge will touch about here and here, leaving a space here that doesn't cut all the way through. So as you can see, it contacts by the belly and not back there. So that's a little bit odd. You could always grind that steel down a little bit if you wanted to use it for that kind of purpose. It's not that hard. You take a file and you take it down, not a big deal, but you shouldn't need to. That's the point. But you got a decent sharpener's choil on here and a decent grind on it. Not great, not bad. Clip point, yeah, a little bit of a decorative effect right here where, they've milled away some steel, sort of like a swedge. Some jimping here. And very little jimping right here on the heel of the blade of the handle. There's a lanyard hole back here, and you've got the scalloped milling on the G10 handle scales. So there you go. If you take the handle off, you'll see that's a little bit skeletonized. And these screws here are non-free spinning, so they lock in place. So if you put that pin in place, you tighten it or loosen it with a T8 screwdriver. This one's T8 as well. And you don't have to worry about this side spinning along. That's a good thing. So it's decently designed, looks good, feels good, is okay. Decent retention, but lower quality sheath components. So when you talk about this knife, let's go back to this point right here because I still have this in my hand. If you wanted to use it for that same kind of purpose, the cutting edge lays flat on that plastic right away. So that's a good thing. You don't have to do anything with the heel. That being said, that heel is kind of odd, isn't it? Let's get a close-up look at this. We've got a plunge here from the full thickness of the blade to, the main bevel here. And it takes, a fair bit of space, a lot of steel before it gets to that thinness. And so they have to put a lot of this sharpener's choil in there. Is it bad? No, it's not bad at all. It's just odd. Kind of odd. Nice and thin behind the grind. Decent belly here. Drop point coming along so the tip can be used to pierce into things if you need to. This is a decent skinning knife, food prep knife, camp knife. It's sort of a universal style knife of a smaller size. We've got this another unique kind of thing. We've got a hollow grind swedge here. So they've taken a hollow grind and put a swedge in there with that. You've got a bit of a dip here for your thumb to rest in with some jimping. So that feels really good in the hand. The thumb locks into place. You've got one big choil up here, and then, the rest of your fingers land in there. All the different kind of grips with this angle here is good for a reverse grip. A pull grip, that works quite well. Pinch grip here for food prep, that works. It's just decent. Another odd thing is this hole, which is in the other, the S625 as well, and the 725 without the P on it, both have this kind of hole in it that's almost like it's like a knurled jimping kind of hole. It's kind of odd. Same thing with these screws. They're not free spinning, and T8. Lanyard hole down here. Now the lanyard hole is down on the bottom, whereas this one's got a lanyard hole at the top of the back of the handle, which actually I'm going to show some of my lack of knowledge. You see, I never claimed to be an expert. I'm a guy who knows a lot about knives, and but I don't know everything. And I don't often use lanyards with knives, especially with folding knives. Sometimes with fixed blades I do. hopefully somebody can explain to me, and maybe you've got a link to somewhere where they explain what's the benefit of the positioning of that lanyard hole. Why is it better down here, or why is it better up there? You know, the lanyard is around your wrist or something, so you don't lose it, drop it and lose it. There's a number of benefits for the lanyard, but if you guys know of the difference of the placement of the lanyard back here, let me know. I do like that this one is thinner right here, the hole, so there's no bulk with the paracord, you know, coming outside of the handle. Whereas this one, yeah, the bulk has to come out because the hole is right at the outside. The sheath on this knife, well, this is Kydex, or Chinese equivalent of Kydex, but it's just like Kydex. And then you've got this rotating belt clip. You've got a lever right here, and it turns and locks into place. And you've got, what is it, 6 or 8? Let's count the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're back to the first one. So there's 9 different positions that you can turn that to use it. That being said, you know, it works really well. I've put it on a belt. It hangs well. You know, you can wear it scout style or regular style. You know, a good 1.5 inch belt fits in there. Here, let's measure it out here. There you go. Easily gets an 1.5 inch belt in that hole. That being said, I wish this part of the sheath had something like this kind of belt loop on it. I prefer the belt loop over the belt, this type of belt holder. It's still very good. It's made well. There's a drain hole down here. This one has a drain hole right there on the end of the sheath. So if you're in the wet, you know, the water will go through. Get to dry off your knife as soon as you can. So that's the basic information about that. I'm going to go over some of the measurements and specs and that sort of thing. First, the 738. We've got a weight of 193 grams, which is 6 3/4 ounces. When you add in the sheath, it's 240 grams, 8.45 ounces. We've got a cutting edge from the factory that's quite sharp. It scored 100 best on my testing. 200 is sharp. Smaller numbers are better. This guy scored 75, so it's even better than this one. The cutting edge length, 9.11 centimeters, 3.59 inches. The blade thickness is just over 4 millimeters, 0.1585 inches. The depth of the blade here is about 3.7 centimeters, almost 1.5 inches this way. I'm not going to give all the specs, but most of them. The grind angle from the factory, 15.3 degrees on this side, and on this side, 19.2 degrees. So a bit of variability, and there's a variability along the length of the edge as well. So I'm going to have to sharpen this guy, and I'll probably sharpen him to 20 degrees per side, even all the way up and down the blade. The handle end here, the handle is about 11.77 centimeters long. That's just under 4 3/4, 4.63 inches. It's 1.59 centimeters thick. That's 0.63 inches thick. So good standard thickness. Grip is just over 4 inches, and the entire length of the knife is 21.5 centimeters. Oh, wait a minute. 4 inches is about 10 1/4 centimeters. Total length of this knife is 21.5 centimeters. That's around 8.5 inches, just under 8.5 inches. Now this guy, you know, it scored better on that sharpness factory edge. Like I said, 75. It's also a drop point. The cutting edge, well, it's longer. This one is 9.75 centimeters, which is 3.84 inches. And the blade length is a little bit longer. The thickness of the blade is actually a little bit less than this guy. This guy is just over 4 millimeters. This guy is 3.62 millimeters. That's 0.142 of an inch. And it's got a higher grind, which means this is a better slicer than this guy by a decent margin. The blade depth here is almost 4 centimeters, which is 1.6 inches roughly, measured where my fingers are. The grind angle on this guy, well, 14.8 degrees on this side and 19.2 degrees on this side. So again, they didn't do the best sharpening, and it changes along the edge as well. So I'm going to sharpen this guy to about probably 18.5 per side, because 14C28N Sandvik blade can easily handle a less of an angle on the sharpening of the cutting edge than this guy has, because it's a better steel. So that's probably what I'm going to do. The handle on this guy, very much the same as that one. 11.72, 4.61 inches. The handle thickness, just a little bit thicker than him, 1.77 centimeters, 0.7 of an inch. And the grip area is about the same, 10.3 centimeters, about 4 inches. Complete length of this knife is 21.6 centimeters, just over 8.5 inches. So this guy's just a little bit longer than this knife. Other than that, the specs are very much the same. Oh, the weight, 178 grams, which is 6.3 ounces. So a little bit, actually a little bit lighter than this guy. And that's because the steel's thinner. That's probably why. 266 grams, 9.4 ounces with the sheath. So there you go. That's, the rough and tumble of the knives. I like this one better, not just because the steel is better. The handle is more comfortable. This one, the handle, it's totally grippy enough. It's a little bit hotter in the hand than this guy is. And especially with this cutout for the thumb riser with that jimping in there, it's much more comfortable for the thumb than this is. This wide jimping just isn't very comfortable in the thumb. And if you're pushing for a while, your thumb will get tired of pushing on that jimping there. Whereas this, it's nice and grippy, and it just is very comfortable. It's the better knife, but it costs more as well. So you got to decide which one you want. Now this knife comes with 2 different handle options. You've got the black, or you've got what they call desert. I might have put that on the thumbnail. I haven't made the thumbnail yet, so I'm not sure what picture I'm going to put in there. But the desert is sort of this orangish, tannish color with black, lines, and it looks really cool. If that's what you want, then get that one. But it's a very nice knife. It's comfortable in hand. The rounded steel. Whoa, I'm gonna drop everything here if I'm not careful. The rounded over steel, rounded over all over the blade. The jimping back here, there's like 5 of them. It's just very comfortable in hand. This has got a little bit less jimping, and it's a little more square, but they did chamfer the edges. It's a very comfortable knife. If you can get the other models, check my other video reviews out from the other Sanrenmu fixed blades if you want to, and then decide which one you want to get. If you're in the market for a smaller fixed blade, I really recommend this knife. If your budget's too tight, and what you're going to do with the knife works with this big belly here, this isn't a bad choice. It'll sharpen a little bit easier than this guy, but this is not hard to sharpen. 14C28N is a decent steel, holds an edge well, a little better than 8C13 MOV, and a little more useful. This knife has got more options to it. This high bevel and a little bit thinner makes it a very, very good slicing knife. But you can use it for other tasks, like I said, as well. So what are the cons on this? Well, this one's got that odd heel on the blade, and it's got that very dramatic belly. It's got a very sharp radius on the belly. The con on this one, it's got a funny heel area as well, with the plunge being so slow. Not a big deal on either case. As long as you know what you're getting before you get it, you just make your decision that way. The balance on both of these is right about there, just a little bit behind that forward choil, so it's not right at the end of the choil. This guy right here as well. And so they're comfortable. They've got holes in skeletonizing to take the weight down a little bit. I've not done warranty with Sanrenmu ever, so I don't know how good they are with warranty claims. I've never needed to make a warranty claim on a Sanrenmu knife. So there you go. That's the basics of these knives. Sorry about leaving that on the screen so long. I should have taken it off much sooner. But the general information about these knives is, if you're looking for, a little bit under 4-inch cutting edge on a fixed blade, and you're going to use it for a variety of purposes, This one might be a small secondary survival knife, and this one is more of a camp kitchen kind of knife. That's my personal perspective on these knives. Made by Sanrenmu. I think they're worth the price that they're charging for these knives. I want to thank you for watching my first fixed blade review of 2020. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, guys, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.